Hello, Divine Lionesses. This is Narissa Sue, and this is the day that we get to have an amazing conversation with Amanda Fisher. We're going to talk Tantra and manifestation. So we'll be with you in just a minute. Well, welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I am so excited to talk to you all about Tantra. I have so many questions. And you're not only a Tantra consultant, but you're also a multi-business owner and an author. And I saw a bunch of other amazing things that I wanted to dig into on your bio. So,
Yep.
yeah. So, how are you and where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, I'm actually from sunny Newcastle in Australia. It's about
Fabulous.
30 degrees outside. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just rub it in. Over here we're having winter. Although in California it's like 60 degrees is our winter. So
Oh,
I know. It's hard over here.
so hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to chat with you. I had I think I'd seen a post about you talking about sexual education and women and liberation, and I was like, I have got to talk to this queen. I love her energy. And I'm so curious about Tantra, and I know our listeners are too, because I'm sure there's a lot of misconceptions about what Tantra is, and it's even juicier when you're talking about how you can use your orgasm to manifest. Oh my gosh, like tell us how a little bit about,
100%.
yes, like dig
100%.
right in.
Yeah. So, yeah, as a brief kind of backdrop, it was last year I was looking for something. My last business is women's wellness. It was all about empowering women.
Mhm.
And that came from motherhood and going through some trauma and some domestic violence. So I really wanted to give power and that feminine rising. There's a lot of that happening at the time. And then Tantra kind of found me because it was like everything I'd studied, my yoga retreats, my meditation, my Buddhist teachings, but also my sexuality, my obsession with Marilyn Monroe. It all came together. I was like, this is it. This is the ancient wisdom I've been looking for, and that knowledge that we feel in our bodies. Even like Samantha from Sex and the City.
I love her. She was always my favorite character.
Yes, and I say to people, because a lot of my clients ask me and say, they don't feel sexy or sensual in their body anymore, and they want to feel confident. And I say, it's not about what she wears or her dress, is her whole vibe. And a lot of, it's a lot of Italian women have this. They can be the most curvy, gorgeous woman. It doesn't matter what they look like. It's their presence, it's their vibration, it's
It
their
is the
confidence that they
energy
give.
they carry, definitely. And
Yeah,
about
totally.
like what age range of women are you talking about? Because I think that our sexuality as women changes from age to age, from season to season. So
Totally.
who are you chatting with right now?
Yeah, usually early to mid 40s, or later, because
Mm.
we've either had children, our bodies have changed. But it's weird. I think it's the transformation as well from the female stages. So
Mhm.
actually, one of my tattoo was maiden, mother, and crone, because they're
Oh, how
the
beautiful.
stages of womanhood.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, they're either a disconnect or a shutdown, or we're so busy on careers, work, we're just focused, or our children. It's
Mhm.
like we don't give ourselves that time anymore, or that self-love, or that self-care.
Mhm.
Because we either got the husband, or we're happy single, or yeah, it doesn't seem as important as it did when we were in our 20s and we could just put our makeup on, go clubbing, and um,
Oh my gosh, those days, those
I
days.
know. I
Yeah,
know,
and
right?
I feel like there's more career women than ever, and when
Yeah.
we're in our career and we're using our masculine energy, it's really difficult to feel sexy and sensual and in flow, right? So I
Yeah.
love that you're going to teach us about tantra because I have a feeling that's a little bit about being in your feminine energy.
Yeah. 100%. And it's actually taken a lot for me to embrace that too, because I was brought up seeing my view of the world was that the female energy was weak, that you're vulnerable, and I'd rather be a tomboy. Even as an accountant, if I want a power dress, I'll put my trouser suit on. I want to be seen as powerful as a man. I want to be taken seriously. And it's a shame because we weren't encouraged, hey, you can put a flowy dress on and some nice long earrings and still be taken seriously and be assertive. We've kind of missed
or
that.
as powerful as a woman, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
there's nothing more powerful on earth than a woman in
Just
her
as their earrings,
power.
they fall out.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I love that's how you arrived at Tantra. And I know that you skipped over your story, but it sounds like you've been through it, right? And then I feel like that's how a lot of us arrive at entrepreneurship is we go through this incredible healing journey and start seeking out different things to heal ourselves, and then we become really passionate about sharing it with other people. Was that your experience, or tell us a little bit more about your experience?
Definitely. And I'd already been, so a bit of background, I've taught martial arts. I've taught as personal training to try and help motivate people to look after their body that way. And then a massage therapist. So there's all this, wanting to be a healer and you're giving. And that's very feminine anyway, to be in a nurturing, giving, healing sense. And that carried through onto relationships, hence why I was a fixer. So yes, I had to really kind of unpack all of that and say, okay, what happened? And I needed to be, this is a really important part actually, from such a bad relationship and trauma, I had to take accountability as to why that happened, and I let that happen, or I attracted that into my life without blaming myself. Because first of all, you just blame yourself. How could I have let that happen? I'm an intelligent, educated woman. What's wrong with me? And I had to shift that. And you don't want to blame the other person, because they are a teacher. Everyone's a teacher in different ways, even though they are responsible for their actions too. But it was accountability. So in that space, that's when I kind of did my growth. Okay, and it was almost like all the pieces of the jigsaw fit together, and you go, oh, now I'm ready to teach. Now I understand how. Now I understand. And you got to walk the walk and talk the talk before you can really teach it. And you don't really wake up and say, hey, I'm going to be a tantric witch. That's a good idea. Yeah, cool. It finds you, and it really is a journey. And you have to break through your own self-limiting beliefs. You've got to smash through all of those fears, all those insecurities. What will people say? What's my dad going to think? Labels, stigma. You have to walk through that and blast it up. And I had some really awesome, your intro reminded me of the lion. I had a big wolf tattoo because that was a spirit guide that came in. That was a female wolf. And it was like, I went through a process. It was like I became a fire goddess. It was like this power just came through, like, rah, like no one's ever going to hurt me in that way ever again. And it's not aggression, it's just power, and it's pure love, really.
That sounds so beautiful, like a rebirth. And is that an experience that you had through Tantra, or how did you experience that? Like what was that moment that you were like, this is never happening to me again?
Ironically, and it was actually through the COVID. I hate to say the C word, but there's so many knock-on effects. I kind of went through the trauma, escaped, found stability, looking after my son. He was 8 months old. I set the business up, and then COVID hit, and I was shut down in 2 weeks. And that was actually the first time in my life I was not able to work. I had no access to benefits because I wasn't in the Australian system because I was English. I had no way of making my own money, and I had never had that loss of independence. And I went to a very dark place. And it was a friend of mine I met through angel workshops years and years before in Sydney. And she said, here's a business coach. She's a really powerful diva. Her name's Ingrid Anna. She's in Brisbane. And she was like, she will help you through this work. And, don't have money, pay back later, just get in touch with her. And then on the side, she set up a GoFundMe page and raised me $5,000.
Wow.
It blew my mind.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a really empowering process because you're in with a group of women who are at
Hmm.
different stages of business. And I knew I was looking for something more. And it was like, how can we evolve the business? How can we set up something online? Who am I? If you take away my title as therapist, who am I? What's this new gift? So that, and at the same time as healing that trauma. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was pretty intense. On top of
It's
looking
so
after a
intense.
baby who could be sick, and then the business could run up, and all the day-to-day stresses of stuff, and living off food vouchers, and having to be really humble. And I had to also ask for help, otherwise I wouldn't have got anywhere. And it was so I felt humiliated and ashamed and powerless.
Mm.
And it was like I had to dig deep in myself for my son because I'm responsible
Mhm.
for him. And I had to jump up and down in front of people and say, help me. I need your help. Like, do something. I don't want, and people kept saying, sorry, we can't help you. Try this number. And I said, I
Mm.
don't want to hear what you can't do anymore. I need to hear what you can do. What
Oh, I
can you
love
do?
that.
Man, it was such a test for me. And it
Mhm.
was, it was like, if I could go through that as well as childbirth, man, I can rule the world. I can do anything.
Yeah, you
So,
can, sister. Oh my gosh. And isn't it
yeah.
when you give birth, because I have a 6-year-old son, he's almost 7. But I feel like when we give birth, there is something like primal that it also is awakened or born with our child that is like, I will fight, to the
Yes.
bone to
Yes.
thrive, right? It's not only
Yeah.
surviving, it's like we are going to thrive and it's going to look good and we're going to make it happen. So
Yeah.
I love your story. That's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing
It
that.
really is transforming. I think what I really would love, and this comes from like witch and pagan studies, it's
Hmm.
never celebrated or had a ceremony because we literally have to grieve our past life as a single woman as
Hmm.
we enter that next phase of womanhood. And yeah, it's like this mama bear, that comes into force. But a pregnancy client even today said, before I would be afraid of a gnarly dog. I said,
Hmm.
now with my baby, with my child, I would like prise its jaws open. I would take a hit,
Like
like,
I would
you just
rip that song
hang
apart.
in there. Yeah, it's like you're not going to hurt my son. And that
Yeah.
force, you can't describe it. And I say to all my
Hmm.
single girlfriends, it is transforming. Motherhood transforms you. You're
It
never the same
does.
again.
Mhm.
Like,
And I
it's
love
not
I
given.
love what I love what you said about having a celebration or a grieving process for our single selves. Because I think,
Yeah.
we're just starting to talk more about postpartum depression. However, if I could count the women in my life that I know are, they just gave birth and they're going through that grief, they're going through that
Yeah.
grieving process of their old life, and nobody told them that that would happen, that it would be so painful to let go of their single self, and it's all shrouded by the joy of your child coming into the world, because that's the most beautiful thing that can happen to you in life. I believe one of most things. But
Mm-hmm.
that grief is real, and that's very rarely talked about, that
Yeah.
it's a painful process to let that go and to allow
And
yourself to step fully into motherhood.
yeah, and
So
I
does
can't help but think in ancient times we had more community and we had our
mm,
elders that would
mhm,
be supported and it'd be recognized and we can talk it through and it would just be something that we know and we can prepare for. But yeah,
mhm.
at the moment it's just based on physical changes, physical stuff. Yeah, pregnancy, yay.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're not we
Yes.
need more ceremony back in our life. I think
Mhm.
is it's really important.
So,
Yeah.
is the work that you do with as a Tantra consultant, do you also tackle some of these issues? Because I know you said your client is in pregnancy. So, is
Yeah.
that part of the journey that you help with? And how does Tantra help with that process?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd say that I'd shift the focus from the pregnancy. That's more of a talking through and a hands-on kind of massage healing that we do. Um, it's more womb healing. So a lot
Mm,
of people either been through lots of IVF or sexual trauma or hysterectomy,
mhm,
and there's scarring tissue in there, and we actually need to go in there and face that fear, not be afraid of it, and confront it, release it, and then the most important part, fill it up with lots of juicy love. Because
Mm.
especially if a woman wants to conceive, I actually had a lady. She was very she had so many miscarriages. She had a child, but she wanted another one. She had so many miscarriages. Her next pregnancy, she was really disconnected, and she was like,
Mm.
"No, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to get attached just in case I lose it." And I
Mm.
remember thinking, "It's not going to happen because you're not sending any love there." So of course, she lost the
Mm.
baby, and
Oh.
we were actually able to talk last week. And I said
Mhm.
I didn't want to say anything at the time, but if you do try again, because she said she's ready to try, I said,
Mhm.
please, like, send all your love there. Believe it's going to happen, because that little soul and entity needs to know it's going to be in a safe place. It's safe to
Mhm.
come through. And she actually saw a psychic, which kind of backs up my work. She saw a psychic and said, you have a daughter, a baby girl. She keeps trying to come through, but she keeps getting blocked. I'm getting
Mm.
goosebumps as I'm saying. We actually started to cry when she told me, because I was like, yes, I do. I feel that too, that you're going to have a baby girl, but
Mhm.
you've got to really want her. You've got to
Gotta
really put
welcome her in.
yourself love vibration.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
So
love
yeah,
that's so beautiful. And that's another thing that people rarely talk about too is that, we are, I know a majority of the women that I know that have children, they have a miscarriage the first one
oh
or two
yeah,
times that they get pregnant. And that's another thing that we're not really told until you go
yeah,
through it, and that it is more common than we're led to believe. And that it shouldn't be
totally,
something that we feel shameful about, right? That for whatever
exactly.
reason that it doesn't take, and that it's
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm a great believer in breaking the rules.
Mhm.
Always broke the rules since school,
I knew
and
there was a reason why we resonated. Break the rule.
they're there for a reason, right? And yeah, I had a miscarriage. My first baby was a miscarriage, and I
Mhm.
I did. I told everybody, and people were like, "Oh no, you shouldn't." And I was like, "But why? Why am I being shamed?" And actually, I remember telling my physio, who was a man, and he
I
said,
know,
"Oh,
you
I'm so
froze.
glad you've told me, because we had
Mhm.
one too, but we."
Mm.
And I'm like, it's so common, like you say, again, our elders would be able to say, hey, this is probably going to happen. Like,
Mhm.
don't be ashamed. It's just nature, and just never know. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge.
It's so huge. I know. I also miscarried in my first pregnancy before I had my son. He was a rainbow baby, and that's when I started really noticing that other women in my life were doing the same thing. Like they were like, "Shh, don't tell anybody," but that also happened to me. So I'm like, why are we keeping this a secret? Like if we let
Yeah,
everybody know that it's a natural part of the birthing process, then there'll be way less shame and more support available for it. So.
totally, totally. And I wish that support was there, because I
Mhm.
blamed myself for a long time. Like
Mhm.
like mentally and psychologically, nothing prepares you for it. And yeah, and I
Mhm.
actually started writing a book when I was pregnant, all about all the things that people don't tell you. Because yeah,
Mm.
and I see so many clients and they go, no one told me this would happen in my body, or no one told me this. And it's like, yeah, why don't we talk about that? Like, it's just a bodily function. I wish I'd have known, rather than
Mhm.
going, what the, is this normal? I'm freaking
I
out here.
know, right? That would save so much. I can't wait till your book comes out. We're gonna have to chat again because this is
Yes.
stuff that women need to know about. We need to know that our body has a process and that there's quirky things that happen. I mean, even as I'm 44 and my body is changing, my hormones are changing, and I'm like, what is going on? So we definitely have to have these open conversations so we can
Yes.
support each other.
Yeah, and that's what comes back to the tantra and making things real, like being real. And
Hmm.
I'm glad that kind of millennials, I think, have embraced that, because
Hmm.
the media have portrayed we've got to just keep youthful and young and in denial and like facelifts, and it's like, but let's talk about chin hair. What's going on chin hair? Tell me. No, I'm talking about chin hair. Let's be real. It's going to happen. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just, I think there is a shift in the global consciousness. It's
Hmm.
going that way. Yeah.
And coming back to celebration, I mean, and we're learning through this pandemic, not everybody gets to age, so we should celebrate every moment that we get
Yes.
to be on the planet and, being together. So
Totally. Totally. It's
I
beautiful.
love that. Well, this is so much fun. I don't want to run out of time before we talk about
Yeah.
manifestation though. So
Yes.
please enlighten us about manifestation
Okay.
and the orgasm.
Okay. All right. So I think everyone, the audience is going to know the basics of manifestation. And some people say, doesn't work. Or I think there's been a lot of, self-help industries and books where if you do an affirmation, it will change your life. And I was interested to read one of them, why affirmations don't work. Because,
Mm,
it's like that masculine energy, you push, 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 and it's not happening.
mm-hmm,
And again, with the processes of things that have happened to me, I've been able to step back, and people have asked, how did you do that? And you kind of go, ooh, I need to look at that. And you step back and you go, yeah, and now I can see the method. It's been there the whole time, whether I was 19 years old or 20, 25, whether it's a
mm,
house, a car, a job, a lover. And I've always struggled with the lover part, and that was until recently, and that was the internal work.
mm,
So okay, I think there's a lot to do with the energy system, and that's where I love Tantra, because it seems to blast through a lot of BS, right? It saves time. So rather than going through a lot of logical steps and processes and, the long way, the
mm-hmm,
divine feminine rising last year has really called on a lot of people to take action faster. So healing is happening faster. Businesses
mm-hmm,
are being created faster. Like everything's being pushed forward. Um, so what I'm really doing is I'm creating a bridge and using Tantra and its amazing ancient wisdom. Like, I'm not taking credit for that. That's ancient Buddhist wisdom right there. Using that as a tool in order to manifest what we desire, which is our higher consciousness desire,
mm-hmm.
in the modern world. Right. So,
I'm like, I
um,
got you, girl. I'm following along. Here we go.
I'm like, I could do a really basic example.
Hmm.
So say for example, a lover, because most people want a romantic partner.
Yes,
Um,
I think there's so
and
many people that are looking for romantic partners right now.
yeah, and I've even done the whole, you write down what you want and you're really specific, and
Hmm.
um, a huge part of it, before I forget to say, is surrender. That's the
Mm,
feminine energy. So the masculine is push and the feminine is pull. So you're actually focusing on pulling something towards you. And that involves a lot of surrendering. You surrender from your ego, from your
hmm.
I want this and this and this. It turns into um, I want. I use the word want, but I deserve someone who's going to evolve with me, someone who's going to nurture me, someone who's going to share life with me. And they also want to have to be kinky and fun and exciting. Like, you're focusing on the
Hmm.
personality traits,
Yeah.
not materialistic stuff.
Hmm.
So you can be in a state, and it takes practice. It's like everything, you have to dedicate time and commitment to practice, to be intimate with your body, to get to know and love your body. And there's exercises like breast massage, um, but even just self pleasure. And I will say now, with no shame, 41 years old, last week I discovered a new way to please myself, and I had no idea.
I
I was like,
love that.
how did I miss that? I was like,
But
wait,
you
I
know,
found a new way.
and how
But
important is
just,
that? Because how many women are out there that don't know how to pleasure themselves? And
oh,
ladies, if you don't know how to pleasure yourself, you better
oh,
get to doing some research because
you're
it just
missing
makes the
out. Like,
whole you're missing out.
yeah, and some people have never had an orgasm, and that's like on a very serious
My
level.
goodness.
It's like you've either never given yourself permission, or there's
Hmm.
a real deep-seated indoctrinated belief that it's shameful or you shouldn't. That's lots of
Hmm.
churchy stuff. So that's a big history, and
I think
childhood.
there's so much churchy stuff that's a barrier to
Churchy stuff.
the churchy stuff. Yeah.
Damn church. Look, I say it like that because I do believe in God and angels,
Hmm.
and I don't ever want to be judgmental on people who are religious.
Hmm.
It's just the church indoctrination and judgment has done so much damage,
It
and
really
that's,
has. I have to
yeah.
agree.
There's
I call
religion.
myself a recovering Catholic because I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I grew up with a lot of shame and guilt and, feeling dirty around sex and
Yeah,
just, all that whole package. And I feel like
yeah,
was the basis of spirituality and finding that spiritual path and connecting with our higher power has very little to do with religious dogma.
yeah. And did you know actually? I watched Whitney Houston's doco,
Mm,
and she was in a relationship with a woman for a long time, but she said, how could she come out as a black woman and then be gay when there's so
mm,
much strength and commitment from the church? She's like, she couldn't do
mhm,
it. She could not do it ever.
mm,
She could, and then it was then her partner who said, it's either me or Bobby,
mm.
and she chose Bobby. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So
Whitney,
manifestation.
Whitney.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just
Mhm,
let's just say we've done the work. We are really happy
mhm,
with our body. We're juicy and sexy and connected.
mhm,
And I've done this myself, and I've actually taught myself. Okay, one, you could actually orgasm without touching yourself. I've done it just lying down, no hands, nothing. It's purely moving
yeah,
energy
I'm
throughout
like,
your
how do
body.
you do that? Okay, how do you do that?
It takes a lot of practice.
A lot of
So
practice, okay.
actually, on a serious note, pelvic floor.
Okay.
So strengthening pelvic floors have got a lot to do with it, and you
So
can
the
almost
Kegels, lady,
like a
must do
ripple.
Kegels. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So rather than doing Kegels, for like a physio thing, you're
Mhm,
doing it like a wave. And I think you can buy like jade eggs and stuff that can help, but I can do
mhm,
it on my own. And I've done it for many years. I just didn't know what I was doing.
hmm,
So getting that pulsing going, and then again with your eyes closed, to visualize and draw that energy up through your
mm,
body. And again, if you've done lots of chakra work, you can bring it up through your chakras. That's the idea. And then you can start to feel your whole body tingle. And I
mm,
actually watched another lady, she teaches in Mexico, and she can do this online. So she gets everyone in a workshop online having an all
mhm.
body orgasm.
Oh,
So I
wow.
thought, oh, I'll try that. So I did write it down and went, that's what I got to teach. Okay,
Mhm,
awesome. But the basic thing that's good for everybody that is easy, I taught myself how to pleasure standing up, right? So again, it's not, turn the lights out low and, close your eyes and think of someone. It was actually
mhm,
being very present. And I'm lucky enough to live around loads of bush. I've got trees and palms and amazing nature, and
mm,
actually looking out and connect with nature. So it's
mm,
not a sexual act. You're
mhm,
actually using it like um, you're unlocking an ancient power or force within you. And then what do you want to do with it? So then you
mm.
set the intention, right? Yeah. So standing up, bare
Okay.
feet, hip distance apart. If you can, looking into nature.
Mhm,
It may feel a bit strange first of all. And I remember thinking, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? But it becomes more powerful. It becomes a spiritual practice rather
mm,
than thinking about, you know, things that
mhm.
turn you on.
Anything else? Mhm,
Yeah, and then it becomes, if you imagine that, like a tunnel, like light coming through the tunnel, and you do this through lots of guided meditation. It's
mhm.
coming up, and then out through your heart space rather
Oh,
than your
how
crown
beautiful.
chakra, out through your heart, and literally giving love. And I would give love
Mhm,
to help heal nature, or especially during COVID, there was loads of fear. It was like, I
mhm,
just want to, whether there's, animals that are in need and being tortured, or, animal cruelty, children, all the dark stuff in life that happens that we
mhm,
forget about. I was like, I just want to give that loads of love. So
mhm,
you can really use that whatever it is. So if that means, okay, I have really got to move house and I want a safe location for my son, okay. And it's weird because, like I say, you're using it as a tool. So you're not thinking and I just want to say quickly, it happens when I work now. So I'll get horny when
mhm.
I work. When I'm really in this flow, when this
Uh-huh.
creative flow, if I'm writing, I'll start getting really horny. That's not anything to do with sex. That is
Mhm,
the Kundalini energy that yogis know all about. Kundalini
mhm,
energy, it's all stirring in our beautiful, you can say pussy power. I don't like that, but our
mhm,
womb space, our power
mhm,
center. and then it
Yeah,
can
and
come
that's
up.
very, it's all sacral chakra too, right? So it's like
Yeah.
this, I think that that belief that the sacral chakra, that the sexual energy can only be used for sex, but it's the energy of creation. So that makes sense that
Yes.
you're feeling it
It's
come through when you're writing or painting or dancing or anything beautiful that you're
yes,
birthing into the world. It's not just
exactly. And that is
for
where we create life.
procreation. Mm,
Yeah, that's where we create life.
mhm,
And actually, on a symbolic level, so you've got your root chakra and your base chakra.
mhm,
They symbolize stability, yeah, finances. So yeah, so again, that's why chakra work is so important, because some people will struggle with it because their chakra and their energies, they're blocked. So it's like
mhm,
a traffic jam and you can't get through the tunnel. So then we need to do that work. There's lots of stages like everything. But yeah,
mhm,
once you're clear and you're putting nutrition in your body and you're in that state of love vibration, then you can use it. You harness it. It's about harnessing that sexual energy for then the
mhm.
highest intention. And it's not like, I think the most crudest form would to say, I'd have a wank to get a BMW. And you're like, no,
No,
that's
no,
not what it is.
no.
Not what it is. It's about
It's
unlocking
totally
and
different.
accessing an ancient energy source
Mhm,
to bring into your life what your highest in consciousness desires. You can't just
mm,
do it because you want something. It's
mhm,
because it's what's beneficial for everybody. And you can say that's God's source. I would take it a step
mhm,
further. It's God's source, and we're tapping into that. And it's not
mhm.
external, it's within us. But
How
we can
beautiful.
heal our bodies with it as well, and we can help to
Mm,
heal others. And it comes with a great responsibility of who do you think about as well, because if you fancy someone and you think about them and then you're pleasing yourself, that's an invisible link, or you're sending them that sexual energy. So you have to be very
yeah,
careful.
creating soul ties just with all
Yeah,
that.
and you have to be
Um,
very careful who you sleep with. It's
oh
all
my
it's all
gosh.
an energy exchange, and it can really
Like we
affect your
could do a
health.
whole other episode on just
Yeah.
that. We could probably
Yep.
talk for another hour just chatting about that in particular. I
Okay.
love this. I'm having so much fun chatting with you. I know we're coming up on time. So,
Yeah.
how can, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and that beautiful, beautiful ceremony, because that's really what it sounds like to me,
Yeah.
is a ceremony where you're birthing something, creating something through manifestation and using your connection and divine power. So I love the way you explained Tantra. I have such a better idea about it because I think when people say the word Tantra, we automatically just think of sex, right? But
Yeah.
that it doesn't sound like, you didn't mention anything about two people merging. You described a very beautiful process of birthing something creative into the world.
Yeah, and it can take it on another level so that two people can become intimate, and it's about connection and love,
Mhm,
and it's not
mhm,
a sexual act. It's almost like I say, we're using it as a tool in order to gain something higher,
mhm,
because yeah, it's just so much more fulfilling. And I've worked with couples, and there's couples
mhm,
workshops, and it's like, what do you want it for? You want it to change career, or run a business, or
mhm.
personal empowerment, or to be closer to someone that you've lost connection to. It can be for anything and everything. You should come and do a workshop or one of my
No,
courses.
hey, I'm interested. I'm definitely, I know whoever's listening right now is all ears because this was just
Yeah.
an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, how powerful. I need to learn more.
And I always think of, especially if I'm manifesting on my own, or like a wild woman, and you think about, when there's a full moon and we just want to get naked and dance
Hmm.
outside on the beach, and it's that primal force within all of us. And
Hmm.
whether it's society or other things that have shut that down and said that's not good, that's not right. And it's
Hmm.
like, but we're all human, we're all naked underneath. And if it's done in a very healthy, ethical way,
Hmm.
it's actually a very powerful force that, yeah, we should celebrate, not squash down. And it's become toxified through media, like everything
Hmm.
else,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be like that.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. And life is a celebration. There's so many ways to celebrate and to move this beautiful energy through our lives. I know I facilitate breath work, so I'm a huge
Mm,
proponent for the breath, and I know and Tantra also uses some breathing too, but it's movement, right? Because we're just
yeah.
moving that beautiful energy.
And you know what's else really powerful is to do a tantric photo shoot. So
Mm.
I did one to celebrate after my body after the birth of my son. So there's a
Hmm.
beautiful shot with me holding my belly, um, and like all the things we've created, life and birth. But the
Hmm.
process, it's not about the photo afterwards, it's the process. And I went with, a long dress and I was like, no, this is what I'm going to wear today. And he said, how naked do you want to be? And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. We went down the beach. And I was like, oh, no, 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 just this is fine. By the
Hmm.
end of it, I was butt naked. I didn't care who was looking. We had this like sheer, like flowy thing. And I was just like, yeah, get me jumping in the air. Woo! Get me with my butt. And
How
yeah, I looked
fun.
like, where did that come from? It wasn't about the photos. It was
Mhm.
about just releasing that inhibition. And I'm like, everyone should do a tantric photo shoot.
I
Awesome.
love
And you can
that.
just be whatever you want it to be.
Do you do that on your retreats? Is that something that's in
I
um
definitely will. My mum was actually
mhm.
a photographer, so I've
Oh,
got a good
wow.
eye for it, but I'm not good with the technology behind it. So
Mhm.
I do know of a lady, she's offered to do one for me. Um, Again, it's a really cool part of nature that I love to get in with the trees and you know. So yeah, we'll see. It's another tool, but yeah, putting it out there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for sharing your wisdom and for your openness. This was so much fun. I had a really good time
Oh,
chatting
thank
with
you.
you and for
Yeah, thanks.
teaching us about manifestation today. Where
Yes.
can people find you? What's the best way to contact you? Do you have a
Yes.
website, Instagram?
I'm just finishing the website the next couple of weeks because I'm wrapping up this business in order to focus on this business. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Um, so at the moment on Instagram and Facebook under Sacred Sexuality,
Oh,
um,
beautiful.
and that there's a mixture of things on there. So there's very very Buddhist, and then there's very very sexual. And I'm working with a bunch of people here that have got an amazing tantric workshop space. It does give access to BDSM and kink and into that world. They've got dungeons. So in
Oh,
that
well,
sense,
that's a
that's
whole other conversation, girl.
it's an exploration. It can help to heal trauma. But yeah, so there is
Yes.
that avenue where people go, oh, that's what it is.
Mhm,
But then it's very, very Buddhist. And so
mhm.
people are like, oh.
I don't
So
think I've heard Buddhism and BDSM in the same sentence ever in my life.
and you know what? So Tantra is
Uh-huh.
taken from Buddhism. It's like they took
Mm.
all the sexy stuff out and moved it. But you
I
get
thought it
white,
was a yogic practice for some reason. I thought it
they're
came
very
from
similar. There's lots of crossing
okay.
overs. Yeah, and
Mhm,
so yoga was formed so that people can meditate.
mhm,
And meditation is Buddhist. So yeah, it was developed so that we were able to sit in those long positions for a long time. And
mhm,
meditation is key to tantra. It is key, and that's the thing. It's like if you're just looking for a physical level, you
mhm,
know that's the way you need to go because that's not quite what we do. But
mhm,
yeah, and it's spiritual. It's all Buddhist perspective. Very
mm.
spiritual. Yeah.
I love that. I've learned so much today. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you'd like to share as a final thought?
Yes, you inspired me. So when we were doing like a briefing of what we were going to be doing,
Hmm.
and you wanted top three tips, it was so hard. And then I saw like your lioness, and I came up with three Fs. Could I share them?
Oh, yes, please do.
Okay, so for manifestation, for a very logical step as well. So forget tantra energy for a moment.
Hmm.
Is fearlessness, focus, and force. Right?
I love
So
it.
I've used it. Yeah, fearlessness, focus, and force. So that fearlessness in that dedication of whatever it is, whatever business you want to start up, you go for it. You don't listen to anyone who criticizes you. Don't listen to family, friends. Just do what you want to do and keep your eyes set on the prize, right? So
Hmm.
that kind of comes into focus and force with that indomitable spirit. Like you just do not give up. Um, and there's lots more to it with listening to guidance and that push and that pull, that energy, surrender. But I remember setting up my first business when I was in my early 20s, and I've done it against all odds. I've done so many things against all odds. And I
Mm-hmm.
look back and go, how? I didn't know what I was doing. How did I pull that off? It was a
Mm-hmm.
miracle. And it was like, because I was just driven and I had that self belief, determination. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, and when you have no other choice, you do it. Whether that's for your son, whether that's to eat and put food on the table, you do it. And people are too safe these days, I think. They're like, well, I'll just go and get a bank loan, or I'll just go and lend. Like, no, start from scratch, have nothing. You're going to get your butt out there and you earn money. And it happens
Mm-hmm.
because
It really
otherwise
does.
you're not gonna eat. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's
When I
worth
think you just said it, you said it. Like we don't, if you're, and for the woman that's listening right now and you don't, and you want to do something risky, you want to start a business, you want to make that career change, you want to look for love, like just set your heart on it, just like you're saying, like just be fearless and don't worry about the how. The how is not your concern. It's the what,
yes.
right?
And that's the surrender. It's giving
Mm,
that away and being like, but at school we're taught A, B, and C equals D, and like I but and you're having to undo all of that thinking, all of that work, stepping
mm-hmm.
outside and just be like, you know, and my favorite phrase is fuck it. It gets you into trouble sometimes, but it's like, fuck it. It doesn't make sense. Fuck it. I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to take that car trip. I'm going to make that
Mhm.
investment. I'm going to call that person because you've got to defy your own logic. So it takes,
Absolutely.
yeah, guts. But the more you do it, the easier it is.
I love that. That's a great place to end it. Thank you again. This was so much fun.
Yes.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. Thank you to the ladies that are listening to this all the way through. We so appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon in this
Yes.
really juicy conversation. And
Yeah.
Amanda and I would love to hear from you. So feel free to reach out to either one of us if you have questions about anything that we talked about today. We are available and here to serve. So until next time, have a wonderful day, live in gratitude, and be light. Bye.
Bye.